if you have a car and it's broken, you don't put it in the garage, say it needs to rest, and then 2 weeks later come out and think, oh, it's going to be better. And I know that's kind of silly because a body has some healing on its own, but whatever caused that injury, it's a root problem. It's developed by a mechanic. It's developed by a motor pattern. And your job is to create a new motor pattern. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Better at Beach podcast. My name is Mark Burrick, and today we are going to talk about everything shoulder injuries, how to prevent them, when they're common, why they're common, and what to do to fix them, and again, to prevent them from ever happening. So a lot of the videos that I'm going to share today are actually from our Fix Your Arm Swing course. So we've got 3 different workout programs. We've got Mobility and Strength Foundations for Volleyball. It's a 21-day program to help your mobility and everything involved in those shoulder movements, as well as opening up your hips and being able to move better. That leads into our 60-day max program, which is a little bit more strength intensive. So we have all of our members start with the Mobility and Strength Foundations and then move into the 60-day foundation or the 60-day max vertical program. And then they also have the choice of going into our kettlebell for volleyball program, which is a really fun program for me. It's one piece of equipment that you can use, and we incorporate those different exercises. So if you want to check those out, go to betteratbeach.com/workout. But we are going to share things about how to avoid all of those shoulder injuries in general, and why amateur players experience more shoulder injuries than elite players. Okay. Before we get into that, I just do want to share a couple of our upcoming camps. So if you are looking on the screen, of course, we have our Punta Cana all-inclusive camp that is happening November 29th to December 5th. So if you want to come to an all-inclusive resort with us, we would love to hang out with you and get a ton of volleyball and coaching with pros and our coaches, of course. We've also added the book your own private camp option. So if you know that you have a crew in your town or a beach volleyball club, some juniors, and you want to bring out a Better at Beach coach, an AVP, an FIVB player to help you run through some intense days of training, then you can check out the book your own private camp section. Aside from that, on July 27th, we have a clinic in Santa Monica for passing and setting. That's a 3-hour clinic. August 1st, we're going to be in Santa Rosa. July 25th in Bend, Oregon. August 8th to 10th, I want to make a special shout out to all the AA and low open players out there. We're having a men's AA camp August 29th to 31st. So men's AA players, advanced players who want to dive deeper into strategy and gameplay. I want you guys checking that out, and you can message me if you want on Instagram at Mark Burrick. Chicago, we are coming for you August 22nd. Oklahoma, September 12th. Seattle, September 26th. Youngsville, Louisiana, October 3rd. And then we have a run of camps in October in Long Island, Orlando, Florida, and Fort Myers. And then we're going back to Third Coast Volleyball, December 12th. So if you want to travel the country with us, aka the world, and play and train volleyball, we've got all the options that you can hope for. Head to betteratbeach.com/camps. Okay, so why do people experience shoulder injuries, and what can we do to stop them? In general, I will say that more sore shoulders develop in amateur players, and there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, you might not have your arm swing mechanics built. So it is a new pattern for a lot of people, or we're trying to learn something different. Okay. And a lot of early players, they try to hit hard, but they don't know the actual situation that they should hit hard in. In other words, if you get a bad set, is this your opportunity to still crank? Some people want to hit hard. They see a nice high set. They don't quite get their feet to the ball, and then they try to grind through a bad situation or a bad position for your shoulder. And the more you do that, the more grind you put on your shoulder. Also, elite players, the pro players, yes, there are shoulder injuries up there, okay? But it's less frequent. We're hitting harder, but we've developed the mechanics and we've developed feet to ball, which means that we can get ourselves to a better position where our right side of the body, if you're a righty, the ball is on the right side of your body. So you can use smooth forward arm swing mechanics. Okay. If we get a bad set, we know that it's time to just chip. It might not be the time to hack away. So we would alter our mechanics for that. Whereas a B, A, AA player is still trying to hit hard even when they're in a bad situation. Okay. So the combination of not having developed arm swing mechanics, playing with setters who aren't accurate, and then having the obsession with hitting as hard as you possibly can, all of those end up in more injuries in amateur players. Okay. There are ways for sure to fix those. Number one is develop your mechanics. I have been coaching out a lot on Hermosa and in Santa Monica. And recently I've noticed that a lot of our players, the people who haven't grown up with throwing or overhead sports. So if you didn't play tennis a lot as a kid, if you weren't trained as a quarterback, if you didn't play baseball and softball, right? You might not have all of these arm swing mechanics built in. So in our classes, we are doing a ton of throwing. I wouldn't do necessarily as much throwing if I were coaching indoor. I would have them hitting against a wall where you stand, let's call it 15 to 20 feet from a wall. You spike the ball so that it hits the ground, then it hits the wall, and then it returns to your hand. And I've done that drill for hours upon hours upon hours in my life. And that will help you develop the general high snap, loading your elbow back, and then being able to make a nice, crisp, high contact. So anytime you're in a gym, a basketball court, or you can head out if you're in New York to a handball court, if you know what that is, a squash court, if you have an indoor racquetball court or a squash court, that is the ultimate place to train for volleyball because the ball never runs away. So you have unlimited reps. I've spent, again, hours of my life just peppering in a squash court because we didn't have to chase the ball across the gym or across the beach. So we automatically got more reps. Right? But what are good arm swing mechanics? So if we start really diving into it, okay, a lot of people end up having a high elbow. They were taught high elbow. So when they finish their double arm lift from their approach, both arms come all the way up and then they come all the way down. So it's almost this back and forth type swing. There are players that get away with it and have power from there. But if we follow the mechanics of our body, if we can load with a low elbow underneath or even with our shoulder girdle, and then come forward with an external rotation, that means that if you're listening, when your hips and chest throw, when your left arm starts the tug and your hips and chest start coming through, your arm externally rotates. So if you can put your bicep next to your ear and then point to the wall behind you, okay, that is a position that you should be getting to at some point in your swing. If we're just teaching it, people get stuck at that position. They kind of hit it. If you've ever learned like dance or dance steps, I did it for my wedding. You hit the positions, but it's like clunky. You touch it and you get there. Over time, once you automate those positions, then you can move it into the rhythm of the song or into the rhythm of your spike or serve. Okay. But it is important that when we take off, we draw our elbow back down and low, and then our chest comes through and our hands follow. That's so important for this shoulder injury, shoulder soreness stuff, because if your body isn't generating, so if you don't feel a little chest pop or a hip and chest pop, and then your arm follows, your muscling swings instead of having a stretch sequence in impulse from your chest, right? And then a microsecond later, your shoulder, elbow, hand will follow. But if you step and then you think of a swing and all you do is move your arm, you're not thinking of a swing. Okay. I want you to think that if I load, so if I sit at a desk and my feet are forward and my knees are forward, and then I've got a swivel chair, luckily, so I can keep my feet forward, but I can rotate to the side. So if you're sitting in the car, your feet have to drive, but your chest would have to face the passenger window. If you're driving, don't do that right now. Just imagine it. Okay. But that torso separation, when we separate our hips from our torso, right? That's why we do a lot of mobility. That's why we do a lot of twists so that we can open up this hitting window. That open hitting window, being able to rotate and have more space for a hitting window, means that we'll have the easier opportunity to hit the ball from a good position. Okay. The less mobile you are, the smaller your hitting window is, which means that times when you don't get your feet to the ball or tough sets, you're going to be really at the end of your range and then trying to produce power. That's tough to do. It's tough on your body. Okay. So I really need to encourage you guys to have a mobility program that includes lunge twists or seated twists. You can lie your back on the floor and then just bend your knees, or you can keep your legs straight. But so long as your knees are bent, then keep your hands flat on the floor, keep your back flat on the floor, and rotate your knees or your feet like it's a windshield wiper. Okay, going from side to side. That starts opening up your thoracic, your ability to twist, and that opens your hitting window, which gives you more opportunity to hit balls from a more comfortable position. Okay, if I implore you, please film some of your approaches. And when you film them, when you have your double arm lift, when your hands come through the zone, does your arm keep going over your head to the point where when you're waiting for a volleyball to spike, your elbow is waiting above your head and then you're trying to grind through your swing? Number one, you're never going to get power. Okay. You'll get some power, but not the most power. If you can imagine a baseball pitcher facing home plate and just bringing his hand high and back over his head and arching his back and then throwing forward without ever bending his elbow, he is not going to be a very good baseball pitcher. He's not going to have any heat, right? We need that rotation. We need our elbow and hand to draw back. So when you take a video of yourself hitting, put it in slow motion. Upon takeoff, your elbow and hand should be retreating backwards, opening up. Hopefully we're squeezing down in our rhomboids, which is the muscle between our shoulder blades. And that then allows you to open and rotate through the swing instead of pushing the swing. Okay. We talked a little bit about being loose, right? And being mobile. I've experienced it myself. I've experienced it with the players that I've coached. As soon as we get people to loosen their arm, instead of flex their hand, flex their forearm, flex their arm, and then try to hit hard. For everything, we need a certain amount of looseness and elasticity. And once you flex your muscles, you lose the elasticity. So then again, you grind through your swings. Okay. We have to be loose. So if you can just squeeze your shoulder blades back together, but have a completely jelly arm, just kind of wiggle your hand back there. That's what we're looking for from a swing. Yes, we do load it back, but when we load back and we're in that open, almost bow and arrow position, we shouldn't be flexed there. It should touch and then rotate through so that your arm feels more like a whip or a rope than it does a muscular arm. If you can master that, you will hit harder and you will experience this looseness in your arm that has no pain. I'm telling you over and over and over again, we've worked with players and we've gone through this sequence and we've adjusted their arm swing mechanics and they're like, oh my God, that didn't hurt at all. And so that becomes a key, is how loose can you stay through your swing? You're going to get more power. You're going to get more snap on the ball, and you won't feel that pain, that grind that comes through for most shoulder injuries. Okay. Now, if you look back at episode 146, right, we talked a lot about shoulder injuries and prevention. And one of the rules for volleyball players is you need to have an elastic band everywhere you live. Put one in your living room, put one in your gym, put one in your gym and volleyball bag. Okay. Put one at your office. The ability to strengthen these muscles so that they can have that load and then make them stronger in your end range counts for not feeling that pain when you do swing. Okay. So I want you to absolutely just make sure that you are carrying a band everywhere you go, an elastic band. And literally, I mean, we have a full program for it. You can follow that verbatim, or you can just go to any shoulder rehab exercise video on YouTube and you will find them. Okay. But you need to have a band and you need to be protecting your shoulders and strengthening them if you want to play volleyball. Period. End of story. Now, you also need to get mobile. Okay. So we have a Fix Your Arm Swing in 21 Days program. What I'm going to do right now, if you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, you're going to get an inside look at our library, what it looks like for our members. Okay. We have it on the app so people can use this on their phone, but they can also use it on their desktop. Now, for our attacking, we do have some exercises that we take them through every day. All of our members, if you get the Inner Circle membership, they get to post their videos so that they're not just following a video. We're actually coaching them based on the videos they submit so that we can make individual corrections for everybody. But one of these that I really encourage everybody to do is the weighted arm throws. Now, you can use a baseball. You can use a weighted baseball that you can find anywhere on Amazon, or you can do what I did and you can cut a tennis ball open, put rocks or pennies inside it, and then tape it over with athletic tape again. Okay. So I'm just going to show you this video right here. Today, we have a weighted ball exercise designed to help you hit. Okay. Now, once you have these weighted tennis balls, everyone in our arm swing course, this is something that they do every day. They are learning how to throw. Okay. So we go through a lot of throwing exercises. All right. If you're going to use this exercise, I want you to make sure that your feet are pointed forward. They stay forward. I don't want you to step forward with your left foot like you would in a generic float serve or if you were to throw, because one of the things that we focus on is opening up your thoracic. So I want you to plant your feet on the ground like you're on skis and then rotate back behind you and then go through your arm swing mechanics where you throw the tennis ball. Now, why do we use a weighted tennis ball or something that's heavier? To get the sensation of a heavy weight behind us. Okay. Your hand should feel heavy behind you. And I know that that's like a little bit weird to say because you have to feel it. But if you were imagined to have your arm as loose as possible and throwing it through an arm swing motion, you should feel like you're throwing blood to your hand. Okay. Now, the difference between a volleyball focused throw and a tennis throw is that we're going to release it really high, like I'm showing in this video right here. Okay. We can show the good before and after, or the good and the bad position. One of them has a low elbow. The other one makes sure that we're stretched and we have this horizontal position. Okay. And if you can see, if you check the video, if you're listening on a podcast, what we're looking at is a video of upon almost release, my bicep is almost behind my ear and my arm is laid horizontally behind my head. So that's where the upward overhead mobility comes into play. And it's throwing right? But it's not throwing like we would throw a baseball or a football. We're trying to get a nice high release so that our elbow does end up, but it doesn't start up. And that will be the difference in a lot of your power and a lot of your pain. Okay. So this is a very good image for you to have and to understand, and maybe even one for us to use for a thumbnail on our posts right here, where we have the good versus the bad. Okay. Bad is going to be a low elbow release, and our elbow is in front of our body. But once we do release this, I'll show it in slow motion, super slow motion. Okay. Once we release and our forearm is laid behind our head, okay, then my forearm just acts as a catapult going forward. Okay, let's just see that one more time in super slow motion. Low arm back, rotate the chest, everything else follows. And then this backhand, the forearm acts like a catapult and it releases nice and high. Okay, so that is one exercise that you can do. If you are using a weighted tennis ball or a weighted anything, please do not try to throw as far or as hard as you can on day 1 through 15 at least. Okay. We're just trying to feel the pattern and feel the weight heavy behind our head. Okay. That then should get you the sensation of, oh, yeah, I felt my chest and my lat needing to pull that ball forward like a catapult, instead of me just pushing this ball forward. Okay. Now, one of the other exercises that we have here in this 21-day program, we do a lot of lat pull downs. If you have never just did a dead hang, which means you go to a pull-up bar or a chin-up bar, and all you do is hold on to that thing and hang, you need that strength, that lat activation, and the overhead mobility that will come just from hanging from a bar. So our arm swing students, they do a lot of pull-ups, and if they can't do pull-ups, all we ask for is dead hangs or lat pull downs so that we get the full overhead range. Okay. But there are a couple of other ones that we do and that we really like to do. Okay. A very good exercise for anybody out there is a chest fly. Now, if you see how I'm sitting at my desk, you see that my shoulders are forward, I'm hunched. If you are similar, if you spend a lot of time driving or sitting, your shoulders roll forward. They even tighten more because we're looking at our cell phones. In order to have a big hitting range and hitting window, we need to open our chest, really get open. And one of the best exercises for this is a dumbbell or a cable fly, which means that you would lie on your back. For now, just take something light, 5 or 10 pounds. Spread your arms, let them hang all the way down until you feel your pecs stretch, and then bring them together. We're not doing this for bodybuilding, okay? And I know that you may have seen a lot of bodybuilders do this type of exercise. We don't need to push that much weight. We're just trying to get strong activation in our end range, which will help open up our hitting window, okay? All right, guys, today we're going to be We'll show you a couple versions of the chest fly right here from our Fix Your Arm Swing in 21 Days course. We're going to open way wide. Let it hang all the way down there until you open up that range. And then once you feel that little bit of stretch sensation, then you bring them back together up in front of your chest. Okay. Again, you can do this lying down with dumbbells, or I show a modification here. Okay, where I'm using bands, right? We tie the band to a wall behind us, and then we allow both ends of the band to open our chest. That helps you open your hitting window. It helps you get stronger in your end range, and therefore you will get less shoulder injuries, okay, and less shoulder soreness. And then the one other one that I really just want to show you, okay, is a overhead pull. Okay. So this overhead pull, or some people call it a tricep extension. Okay. You can do this with dumbbells. You can do this with barbells. You can do it with bands. You can do it with the tricep machine at your gym. But if you're lying on your back and you're holding a barbell or dumbbells up over your head, you're going to drop them back down behind your head. Okay. What I do is a tricep move first, just to get a little bit of extra strength in the triceps. So I bend my elbows, but I keep my forearms totally upright. Or sorry, I keep my upper arm totally upright. And then I let that weight fall back down over my head. Now, if you're watching this video, you can see that the weight is really tugging my chest down. You can even see my back peeling off of the bench, which isn't necessarily good. We'd like to have the range to get to this position with a flat spine. Okay. So that means that like you can keep your back pressed against the bench when you do this and then try to get to that same range, but it'll stretch you out either way. Okay. And then we get this big hang position. And if you take a look at this video, or sorry, this picture right here, and then you look at the throwing position, AKA the spiking position that we just showed a couple of minutes earlier, they are the same position. Okay. And we need to be able to touch those. And doing this with light weight, some weight, so that we actually have to activate our muscles in end range, but light weight, and then bringing it back forward over our head to that tricep push position. And then we call this a tricep plus, because you could do this with straight arms if you want, where you don't bend your elbows, but we get a little bit of tricep activation by finishing it right there. Okay. So those are some of the videos that are contained within the Fix Your Arm Swing in 21 Days program. If you want to check that out, you could head to our homepage. And you will see the course there. You could get it as a standalone course. My number one recommendation is to also join the Inner Circle membership, so that when you do the exercises, when you do your throws, when you do your arm swings and your approaches, you can submit your videos so that me and my coaching staff can actually look at them and help you make your individual fixes. Everybody interprets advice in a different way, and then their body interprets it in unique ways. So if you just watch videos and you don't actually get the feedback portion of it, you're not getting everything you can get out of coaching, right? We want to be able to help you. So my recommendation, if you're listening to this and you're interested in protecting your shoulders, getting a better arm swing, getting better jump mechanics, we're doing it right now with our students. We have 2 more weeks of jump and arm swing mechanics. Okay. That being said, if you're listening to this a year from now, you can still watch the recorded course at any time, submit your videos, and me and my coaches will go in there and help you fix your arm swing mechanics and decrease shoulder pain. Okay. So that is a little bit about arm swing mechanics. Number 1, you need to get mobile. Number 2, you need to get strong. We've got 2 programs for that. So you need to get strong in your end range. Number 3, you need to develop the hitting mechanics. And when you have those mechanics developed, not tighten your shoulder when you're trying to hit hard, not tighten your arm, your forearm. Even when you're retracting your shoulder, it shouldn't be a mean retraction. It should be like a little loose baby bird pterodactyl type move when we're opening our chest and squeezing our shoulder blades. Okay. That low elbow drawback will help you with shoulder pain and with power, and then staying loose through your swing, having a really gooey arm and whipping the ball instead of trying to club it. That will certainly add speed, and it will certainly decrease pain. Okay. Now, what do you do if you are suffering from an injury? Okay. And it hurts a little bit too much to play volleyball right now. Don't rest. I know this sounds crazy, but you need to fix your body's mechanics and different sources of pain by actively moving them through ranges of motions and fixing the imbalances. Okay. If you have a car and it's broken, you don't put it in the garage, say it needs to rest, and then 2 weeks later come out and think, oh, it's going to be better. And I know that's kind of silly because a body is, of course, not a car, right? It has some healing on its own, but whatever caused that injury, it's a root problem. It's developed by a mechanic, it's developed by a motor pattern. And your job is to create a new motor pattern so that that doesn't happen. And we just do that at slow velocity. Okay. So, like really slow, lightweight movements. Good physical therapists will get you in there and they will do a little bit of soft tissue on you, and then they will assign you exercises. The ones that you get assigned from a general physical therapy person, right? A general physical therapist. What they're trying to do is give you a reasonable amount of reps and sets that they think you would accomplish if they told you that. I'm here to tell you that you can do it as much as possible. So if somebody says, hey, you need to do this 5 times a day for 30 seconds each, they're giving you the bare minimum of what they think you would reasonably do, or what they think a normal person would actually say, okay, that's reasonable, I can do it. But really, getting new mechanics and developing strength and mobility and range, you can do it at an almost unlimited clip. The times that are the things that we need recovery from are intense power exercises where we're really affecting our nervous system and we get nervous system fatigue and spinal fatigue, and for hypertrophy and power training. Okay. That's when your muscles actually, they have micro tears, which is actually good. And then they need that time to rebuild before the next training session, before they get tested for the next time. But if this is a mobility or a lightweight thing, you're not actually going to really be having those micro muscle tears. You're actually stretching the muscles and you're teaching it, hey, it's okay to be strong in this deeper range of motion. Okay. So if you do have a shoulder injury, again, don't take this podcast as gospel. I do recommend that you seek a medical potential, but when you, or sorry, a medical professional, but when you do talk to them and they do give you a prescription, ask them, hey, is that the bare minimum? Or can I just do this as many times as possible throughout the day? And then get their advice on it and say, like, I'm obsessed with volleyball. So I'm going to be like sitting at my desk and I'm able to do rehab. So can I do that? Is there any harm in me doing it too much? See what they say. I think that they give you the bare minimum in what you can do. If you know, like professional athletes who go in for treatment, in other words, they get their body work and everything, that is nearly an everyday thing. All right. Treatment happens all the time. And if they're injured, it's not sit and rest, it's watch film, it's get worked on by the professionals and do constant rehab. Okay. So rest is not the answer to your shoulder injuries. There are certain instances where that might be the case. But in general, that comes like after surgeries where we don't want anything to move. Even now, like modern day surgeries, when we're fixing bones, when we're fixing joints, it's like day one, get up and move. My dad and my mom both had knee replacement surgery. Day one, they're like, you need to start walking. Surgery was over. An hour and a half later, drugs worn off. Hey, let's get up and walk. You have a new knee. It's not going to break. We stapled it in there so you can get yourself moving so that your body does not get stuck in that tight range. Okay. And if you want to continue playing while you have that shoulder injury, okay, you can do your rehab, right? And then you can choose a pokey or a shot offense. You don't necessarily need to stop playing. If it hurts to elevate your shoulders because you've got a slap tear or your AC joint is pinched, right? You can change from hand setting to bump setting. You can have a pokey offense. This is an opportunity for you to work on passing on two so that your buddy can hit all the time. And then, okay, you have to get there and run your pokey offense. But you can run a pokey offense without hurting your arm because you're just holding it at 3/4 height and then touching the ball from that. So it doesn't need to be a swing. If you need to serve, you can serve underhand. This might be a chance to develop your sky ball. Who knows? right? If you want to check out how to serve a sky ball, we've got a video for that. We'll link it underneath this, and maybe we'll even put a card here somewhere if we learn how to do that. Okay. And in general, just remember the whole RICE, like rest, ice, compression, and elevation. I want to make it clear again. I know it's been out there for a long time, but the guy who came up with that, the doctor, came out years ago and said, please stop doing this. I was wrong. I know it got into every textbook. I know it got all of there, but there is a time for ice and there's a time for not, right? Systemic inflammation is a little bit different. And inflammation is not necessarily bad. Inflammation means that your muscles or your body is sending white blood cells and red blood cells to the area where it needs help. When we need ice is if it's just too painful. Like if it's hurting, you can numb some of the nerve endings, but in general, putting the ice on those acute injuries or sorenesses, they're actually going to slow the healing process because they prevent the swelling. Okay. Acute swelling is good. It's a natural response. It's good for your body. That's where it wants to send all of the cells. So that's good. Systemic swelling is a little bit different. That's like the cause of a lot of disease that you can have over time. And again, there are certain times that we use ice and certain not, but just do not default to throwing an ice bag on every single injury you have, because you might actually be hurting yourself. Same thing with Advil, ibuprofen, anything like that. Okay. The body's natural inflammatory response, inflammation is not inherently bad. Systemic is, but when you add those drugs or prescriptions that over time they don't allow the healing process to help you, then you're going to actually elongate that healing process. I take ibuprofen very occasionally. I take it when my body is like a little bit beat up and I'm in a championship match and I'm like, you know what? I'm putting it all on the line. I don't want to feel any pain right now. I know this is going to slow my healing afterwards, but it's going to decrease my pain currently, or it's going to allow me to sleep a little bit better, which might be more important, like to get to sleep out of pain. So I know that's a big side topic, but I just want to make sure that you're using active recovery and active rehab more than you're just relying on rest and ice. Okay. That's all I wanted to cover in this podcast. So I hope that was helpful. We have a number of arm swing mechanics and approach videos that you can search. If you've never subscribed to our YouTube channel, if you're listening right now and you're not subscribed, please, please, please subscribe. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of this summer. It is a race. We would need to actually 5 times the number of subscribers that we get on average, but I really want that plaque. I know it's selfish. I know it's stupid, but I really want that little plaque from YouTube that we got 100,000 subscribers. And if you enjoy this free content and you want to throw us a super like on YouTube and support the channel in any way, that would be awesome. But most of all, we want to be able to help you get better at beach, and our best way to help you, if you really want to improve at this game, is through our camps and our online training programs, where again, you follow our script of courses and workout programs. And then if you join the Inner Circle membership, then we get to help you based on your video submissions, and you get to meet with me and other AVP coaches, FIVB coaches, and special guests at our weekly meetings, which means that we get a live Q&A and a discourse with each other where we can answer any questions that popped up that week, as well as the video analysis of your play and your technique. So I hope you join if you are interested in getting better fast. And if you're still listening to this video, you are interested in getting better. It's clear you're still here. If you have not joined, I promise you, I will fast forward your career. I will fast forward you to the next level, to being on the next level of players on the next court and being more capable, more comfortable, which means you even get to open up a whole nother range of friends, because now you're not just playing with the B guys, you're buddies with the B guys, but now you're also getting to play with the A guys. And so you've got more friends. So if you're better at volleyball, yes, you have the potential of making more friends. Okay. So, to all my friends out there, thank you guys for listening. I hope this little touch on arm swing mechanics and shoulder pain was helpful for you. And if you want to check out any of your camps or book your own private camp, we are available. I'm also available for private lessons in person in Hermosa Beach, or on video, where we'll sit through your matches and any questions you have one-on-one instead of like in the group setting, like the inner circle meetings. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great day. We'll see you on the sand.